Before we embark on this fascinating journey into the lives of Viking women, please take a moment to support our channel by hitting that like button, subscribing for more historical documentaries, and leaving a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. Your engagement helps us continue bringing these untold stories to light. In the mist-shrouded fjords of medieval Scandinavia, where the northern lights danced across endless winter nights, Viking society held beliefs about women and fertility that would shape destinies in ways far more complex than most historians dare to explore. The year is 950 CE, and in the longhouses scattered across Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, a woman's worth was often measured not by her courage in battle or her wisdom in council, but by her ability to bear children who would carry forward the family line. The Vikings, contrary to popular misconceptions, possessed a sophisticated understanding of family structures and social hierarchies. In their world, fertility was not merely a personal matter, but a community concern that intertwined with religious beliefs, economic stability, and social standing. Women who could not conceive faced challenges that extended far beyond the personal heartache of childlessness. Within the wooden walls of Viking longhouses, where families gathered around central hearths and the smoke of cooking fires mingled with the scent of pine and sea salt, the absence of children's laughter carried profound implications. The Norse believed deeply in the concept of fate, or weird, which governed all aspects of life. When a woman struggled with infertility, the community often interpreted this through the lens of divine displeasure or supernatural interference. The social structure of Viking society created unique pressures for women unable to bear children. Unlike many contemporary cultures, Norse society did allow for divorce, and infertility was considered valid grounds for dissolution of marriage. However, this apparent freedom masked deeper complexities. A divorced woman in Viking society faced significant economic hardship, as she would return to her father's household, or, if he had passed away, rely on the charity of male relatives. Archaeological evidence from settlements across Scandinavia reveals the central importance of households in Viking economic life. Each family unit functioned as a small enterprise, with specific roles for every member. Children were not only emotional treasures, but economic assets who would contribute to farming, crafting, trading, and eventually caring for aging parents. A woman who could not produce these future contributors found herself in an increasingly precarious position as years passed without conception. The Norse pantheon included several deities associated with fertility and family life. Frigg, the wife of Odin, was invoked by women seeking to conceive, while Freyr and Freyja governed fertility in both humans and livestock. Women struggling with infertility would often make offerings at sacred groves or springs, seeking divine intervention. These religious practices provided some comfort, but they also reinforced the notion that childlessness was a spiritual failing requiring supernatural remedy. Saga literature, though written down centuries later, preserves memories of how Viking society viewed childless women. These stories reveal a complex web of sympathy, suspicion, and social maneuvering. Some sagas describe childless women who gained respect through other means, becoming skilled healers, wise counselors, or successful traders. Others hint at darker suspicions that surrounded women who remained barren despite years of marriage. The concept of honor, so central to Viking culture, extended to fertility in ways that created additional pressure. A family's reputation could suffer if their daughter-in-law failed to produce heirs, leading to tensions within extended family networks. This pressure often manifested in increasingly desperate attempts to find solutions, from herbal remedies to pilgrimages to sacred sites across the Nordic landscape. As winter nights grew longer, and the aurora borealis painted the sky in ethereal greens and purples, childless Viking women faced not only the immediate challenges of their situation, but also growing concerns about their future security. The interconnected nature of Viking society meant that their personal struggles would soon become community concerns, setting the stage for developments that would test the very foundations of their social world. The approaching spring would bring new possibilities, new pressures, and new revelations about how deeply the threads of fertility and family were woven into the fabric of Viking life. As the harsh Scandinavian winter gave way to the brief but glorious Nordic spring, the consequences of childlessness in Viking society extended far beyond individual households into the very structure of their civilization. The melting snows revealed not only the green shoots of barley and rye that sustained Viking communities, but also the intricate social networks that connected families, clans, and entire regions through bonds of kinship and obligation. The economic implications of infertility in Viking society created ripple effects that touched every aspect of community life. In agricultural settlements along the fertile valleys of Denmark and southern Sweden, land inheritance followed strict patrilineal patterns. Without sons to inherit farms and daughters to forge marriage alliances with neighboring families, a childless woman represented a broken link in the chain of economic continuity that had sustained Nordic communities for generations. Archaeological excavations at sites like Hedeby and Birka have revealed the sophisticated trade networks that connected Viking settlements across vast distances. These commercial relationships often depended on family connections, with trading partnerships passed down through generations. Women who could not produce the next generation of merchants found themselves excluded from these lucrative networks, their economic prospects diminishing with each passing season. The role of childless women in Viking religious life presents fascinating contradictions that illuminate the complexity of Norse society. While fertility goddesses dominated the pantheon, some of the most powerful spiritual figures in Viking culture were the Völur, female seers and practitioners of cider magic, who often lived apart from traditional family structures. These women channeled their exclusion from motherhood into spiritual power, becoming intermediaries between the human and divine worlds. The practice of cider, a form of Norse magic associated with fate and prophecy, provided an alternative path for women who could not fulfill traditional roles. Historical accounts describe Völur traveling between settlements, offering their services in exchange for food, shelter, and respect. Some scholars suggest that these spiritual practitioners included women who had turned to magic after struggling with infertility, finding power and purpose outside conventional social structures. Seasonal festivals throughout the Viking calendar year created additional challenges for childless women. The great assemblies known as things, where communities gathered to settle disputes and make collective decisions, were also occasions for families to display their prosperity and continuity. Women without children to present or marriages to negotiate found themselves increasingly marginalized during these important social gatherings. The Viking concept of legacy extended beyond immediate family to encompass reputation and memory preservation. Skaldic poetry, the sophisticated verse form that preserved historical events and heroic deeds, typically celebrated lineages and ancestral achievements. Women without descendants faced the terrifying prospect that their stories would die with them, leaving no one to remember their contributions or maintain their memory in the oral traditions that sustained Viking culture. Maritime expeditions, the legendary Viking voyages that reached as far as North America and the Byzantine Empire, operated on kinship networks and family investment. Ship crews were often assembled from extended family groups, with shares in trading profits and plunder distributed according to family relationships. Childless women could neither contribute crew members nor inherit shares in these ventures, gradually finding themselves excluded from the economic opportunities that defined Viking expansion. The changing seasons brought increasing awareness of isolation for women who remained childless. Summer months, when agricultural work demanded every available hand and children's contributions became visible and valued, emphasized their absence from productive family units. Autumn harvests celebrated not only successful crops, but also successful families, creating annual reminders of unfulfilled expectations. As Viking society evolved and encountered Christian influences from southern Europe, new pressures emerged around fertility and family life. Christian missionaries brought different perspectives on marriage and childlessness, sometimes offering alternative spiritual frameworks, but also introducing new forms of judgment and social pressure that complicated the lives of women struggling with infertility. The archaeological record suggests that some childless women in Viking society found alternative paths to security and respect through adoption, foster relationships, or specialized crafts that brought economic independence. Textile production, metalworking, and healing practices offered opportunities for women to build reputations and economic stability outside traditional family structures. The story of childless women in Viking society reveals the intricate connections between personal struggles and broader social structures in medieval Scandinavia. These women navigated a world where fertility intersected with economics, religion, family honor, and community stability in ways that created both tremendous pressure and unexpected opportunities. Their experiences illuminate how Viking society, despite its reputation for egalitarianism compared to other medieval cultures, still imposed significant constraints on women who could not fulfill expected reproductive roles. Yet the same culture that created these pressures also provided alternative paths through spiritual practice, specialized skills, and community roles that allowed some women to transcend traditional limitations. The legacy of these women reminds us that behind the popular images of Viking raids and exploration lay complex communities where individual lives were shaped by forces both seen and unseen, where personal struggles intersected with cosmic beliefs, and where human resilience found expression even in the face of seemingly insurmountable social expectations. Their stories, preserved in fragments of saga literature and archaeological evidence, continue to offer insights into the human experience of navigating social pressure, finding purpose, and creating meaning in the face of life's unpredictable challenges.